I'm Joe English. I'm the head of enterprise in County Meath in Ireland. Um, a lot of my work is involved with people starting their own businesses.
I'm Connor Patterson. I am Managing Director of Win EU, and we provide advice and support to agencies working in the area of business support. We're a network of practitioners working in this field for decades now.
I've noticed obviously in recent times that COVID has really moved the gig economy on into mainstream, and I'm obviously concerned about the economics of the gig economy for the individuals who are involved in the gig economy.
And obviously, the impact of COVID is something we're all grappling with. And how will the gig economy change? We think that it will become more, not less significant, and we just need to understand what it offers as well as the challenges that people working in the gig economy face, because the gig economy can be flexible, it can suit people, but it's how to get those benefits and address the challenges.
Yeah, one of the main concerns is the financial well-being of the individuals who are entering the gig economy, both their short-term, but more importantly, from my perspective, is their long-term financial well-being and how they plan for their future economic success.
The gig economy isn't the preserve of young people, though many young people have been required to work in the gig sector in recent years. But there are also many older people working as freelancers by choice, because the gig economy offers them the flexibility that they want at that stage in their careers. And they've also been able to price their skills in such a way that they get a good return for the time and effort that they put into their work. There are lessons from those successful gig workers that I think it's worth sharing as practitioners with younger people.
So those giggers who've been around a long time, how did they avoid exploitation? How did they get their pricing right? And is there a role in there for collectives? I'm thinking the original giggers, of course, were musicians, and the Musicians Union, certainly in the UK, really worked to protect the rights of musicians so that you didn't have people undercutting and underpricing themselves. That is one way of supporting gig workers. How that's going to work in the future, I'm not sure.
But it seems to me, when I look at people working in construction, increasingly workers in that sector are gig workers, and their skills are in great demand, and they will set the price for their service quite aggressively, and they will stick to that price. And people working as plumbers, as plasterers, as electricians, who in the past would have been seen as a source of relatively cheap labour. Now society understands that those skills are in short supply, and consumers have to pay a fair, and in some cases a very significant price for their time and their skills. So it is about people in the gig economy. I think you're right, Joe, coming together and agreeing what their pricing should be, but crucially disciplining themselves as a group and sticking to that pricing. And if they do, and people within the sector don't undermine that, well, the buyers of their services will just have to pay the price, otherwise they won't get the skills.
Well, it's one method to ensure that gig workers are not exploited. But it's up to individual gig workers, I think, to think about their long-term future and not just think about the next job, but to think about how they're going to be in maybe 10, 15 or 20 years' time.
But it's still the case, I think, that young people will have a choice between full-time employment or working, doing sessions, and the flexibility that comes with that. There might be greater rewards in the short term, but if that's the route they choose to take, the gig route, they need to be organised. They need to understand that it's the equivalent of running a business, but each individual is the business. One of the issues, for example, is billing for your work, doing that on time, chasing up money that's owed to you, and doing that as aggressively as you need to, otherwise you won't get paid. Whereas if you're in a full-time job, there's somebody in the organisation doing all that for you, and the wages will just come into your bank account. The challenge there seems to be that the monies in full-time employment might be less than what's on offer in headline figures in gig work. But it's the consistency of gig work that's the challenge. So you need to plan for that. There will be busy times and there will be times when there's less work. And how do you smooth the curve across a year? So in effect, each of you will need a personal business plan, I think.
And I think on that note, I think it's a good way to end this conversation. Basically, you need to be thinking about your future.
And good luck.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rita Manning. I'm a violinist. I'm a gigger, freelancer. I've been doing this probably 35 years or longer. So based in London now. I moved to London to study and lived in Germany for a year and based myself in London. So it's my home, and chose this particular route because for many, many reasons. I like the freedom of being a freelance person. So it's stuck is the wrong word, but you're not in a contract with one particular group and you have to do certain hours. I love the not having to do a 9 to 5. I like the freedom of choosing where and when I want to play, who I want to play with. And it's been an amazing, amazing path to take. Sometimes it's been difficult, but most of the time it's been liberating and exciting. So I recommend it highly.
My name is Alexandra Dmitrieva and I'm a freelancer. I have English philology degree and I do different freelance jobs related to the languages. I've been living in Spain for almost 10 years now, so I can easily switch between 3 languages: Russian, which is my mother tongue, English and Spanish. I actually started doing some extra work about 15 years ago when I still had my regular office jobs. I translated some texts from English to Russian, taught English and wrote some short articles for some Russian language mass media. Since I've been living in Spain, these jobs have become actually my main source of income. Last year, I became my small business owner. I opened online language school and teach languages online. I also do some translating and copywriting jobs for both Russian and Spanish and international clients. Well, I'm also a photographer, so I teach photography and do some photographic gigs, although these are quite less popular than language jobs. Working in the gig economy is quite a challenging task, although it has a great deal of advantages as well. It's a very competitive work, and sometimes you can't even charge your established price for the work you do because the market itself dictates you the tariffs. I try to look for the gigs on freelance platforms like Upwork, but the problem of these platforms is that there are a lot of qualified professionals and they charge too low. They live in African or Asian countries where money has absolutely different value. So it's quite impossible to compete with them. In general, working online always means to be able to face and deal with such issues as predatory pricing and fierce competition. The other difficulty is, of course, the marketing. Finding the clients online is a great challenge, as the confidence level, the client's confidence levels, is quite lower than in offline jobs. I finally began working with the local market, as local people prefer working with people they actually know, or at least the ones who are closer to them. But even so, I have to spend time and money on my online promotion. Social media are actually take a huge part of my working time, because it's very important, and I would say it's vital to stay in a public eye. And people should remember of your existence and the services you provide. But the good part is that now I'm not tied to any place. I'm not tied to the place I live and work. I can travel and easily go somewhere else and do my work from any place I want. Although, of course, in this pandemic time, it sounds like a dream. I also enjoy being my own boss and being able to choose the job I would like to.
I think it's the freedom to play the sort of music you want to be and try other things out. If you choose to go down, there's so many different genres, certainly in music. You can be a Baroque musician, you can choose to do contemporary music, you can be a classical musician, or you can do a lot of studio work and film music and everything. And I chose the path that involved a combination of a few, I suppose. And if I've got a classical event or week of music that's really taxing, because I'm my own boss, I can call the shots and go, I need a week to practice. Whereas if I was attached to a particular organisation, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I've enjoyed that freedom, and I've used one against the other. So as a classical musician, we have to put a lot of hours into learning all the notes, as you all know. But if you do some of the commercial work, which pays quite well, and it's never too taxing, that sort of sponsors your time to do the work you need to do the concerts you want to do. And so I've never specialised in Baroque or contemporary, but I love trying crossover music, even mingled in a bit of jazz. And it's been great. It's been very exciting. Also the travel that comes along with being a gigger, a freelance musician, has been incredible. I've seen the world. I've been paid to go abroad to all these different continents. And you create a little tick-off list of places you want to go back to. You know, you go to South America on a tour, you think, I'm definitely coming back here someday for a holiday. Or you go to Iceland, or you go to Sweden, anywhere in Europe, and you think, definitely coming back here. So that's been such a luxury. Yeah, it's been very varied, and I love that. And I love the fact that one week I might be wearing period costume, playing 19th century music, and the next week I could be playing on Top of the Pops, you know, wearing crazy clothes. So I love the variety, and I highly recommend it. I think it's different. We've all been through this crazy last 15 months of not making music, not being allowed to. I haven't done a concert for over a year now, and it's very alien not to perform on a stage. I've been recording, but I think nowadays with social media, I think everyone, young people, you need your Facebook, you need your Instagram, you need to create your own image, record as much as you can, put yourself out there online, home videos, whatever it is, anything you can do, but people want to hear you, and build up a fan base in a sense, and just follow your dreams, stick to it, but do it really, really correctly. If you go, I want to be a jazz musician, just really take your time and get that video out there and do it really well. And that seems to be the trend at the moment. It wasn't when I started out, but now I think everyone's relying on online concerts and live streams. So at the moment, that would be the thing I'd suggest for everyone to do.
The first is to be prepared to work hard for the first couple of years or maybe more. It's a rule for any kind of business, and the gig jobs are actually nothing else but your own business. You have to be quick and flexible. It's great if you can be multidisciplinary, because sometimes your clients just ask for some very unexpected things. For example, working for Upwork, I've written some children fairy tales for a client, and it was like one of the best jobs I have ever had. Also, I did some photographic gigs for a French company, taking food pictures in different Galician restaurants, and enjoyed it very much, although I've never learned the food photography. By the way, the self-confidence is also a good assistant in finding the gig job. If you just think that you are still not very qualified to do something, you will never be. At the end, we learn by the experience, not by the academic education. I can say my food photography improved after 5th or 6th session, and now I know a lot more about it than I knew before. It's also true that there should be something that you are really great at, something that you can be very competitive at. And normally, this is something that you enjoy doing most, at least when you dedicate a lot of time to something, not because you need it, but because you just love doing it, you really become a specialist in this. On my experience, finally, it's the job you're mostly going to do. This way, for example, I came to language teaching. It's necessary to inform all the people you know, all the people you deal with, about the services you're providing. It's not just social media and freelance platforms that can bring you new clients. It's also the good old word of mouth. But you don't need to be necessarily assertive, but yes, persevering and constant. Don't lose courage, even if you can't find anything during a long time. Just try to analyze your tactic, maybe you just need to change something, and keep on searching. And good luck.